Hi, and welcome back. This is part 4 of the introduction screen video set. And you can see we're on the same slide we were previously. I had asked you to watch the video, and I hope you've done so. Moving to the next slide. This is happening now. It's an autonomous robotic surgeon. And this is another place where I won't stop at present, but if you get a chance, go back and have a quick look at it. What you're seeing on the screen is a picture of it working on a piece of liver. Not human liver in this case, something else, but it goes to show you how high up the skill ladder certain robotic operations are. Specifically, surgical operations can now be done by robots, which is something that many people didn't expect to have happening. And again, here's another prediction. Even the CEO's job is susceptible to automation. Turns out that many jobs, even at quite high levels, have routine aspects, and so those routine aspects can be automated. And we're going to see an increasing push to automate all of those things in the near future. It's something to be aware of. So the problem statement. In many cases, we are educating the students for jobs that don't yet exist. How do we do this? And I don't have a good answer for you. Certainly one of the things is to say we need to give them a very general type of education, but that doesn't help very much. So that's a challenge that you're going to face as you go through your career. If I had to give advice to students, and I have given this presentation to students, or one very like it, here are some suggestions I've had for them. The labor market is fragmented, so you can expect to change jobs often. That's different than it used to be, and a lot of people are unaware of this. You're going to need to be able to think clearly, interact effectively and collaboratively with others, and you'll need to be able to work with computers, robots, and other emergent technologies, which does imply you're going to have to spend time in class teaching the students how to do these things. You're going to need to avoid any career in which the jobs are easily routinized. And finally, lifelong learning, which I'm sure you've all heard about and it's bandied about a lot. This is going to be critical. And what I've told people is, and this applies equally to you, and it applied equally to me as throughout my career, when you get your degree, it's a nice degree, it's got fancy writing on it, it has the title of your degree, it has the seal of the university, and it has a date on it. Written above that date should be the words "best before," and that's going to apply to just about all credentials nowadays. The American writer Daniel Pink has some questions that he likes to apply to any jobs, and he suggests that students ask themselves these questions when they're deciding about careers. And I rather like these 3 questions. First one is, can someone overseas do it cheaper? Second is, can a computer do it faster? And the third is what I'm offering in demand in an age of abundance? Now, if your answer to question 1 and 2 is yes, and if your answer to question 3 is no, you're in deep trouble. Be a good set of questions to put to students, but probably not at the elementary level. Now, a recent headline shows you where things are actually going in manufacturing, and I think it's a very good example here. Toyota is replacing robots with humans so they can make even better robots. In this particular factory, they have taken out 5 of their industrial robots and are having humans do the job. But it's not to have humans do the job. They're not the least bit interested in that. The robots were doing just a fine job. It's because robots can't suggest suggestions for improvement of how the line should work and how manufacturing should be done. So what they want is 5 assembly line workers who can think creatively about their jobs and suggest how the assembly line could be improved. So that's the future of factory work in terms of on-the-floor manufacturing. Very different than the typical picture most people have in their minds of how factory work is done. And that's the future. That's how Toyota's doing it. That's how others will do it. So a reality check. The Pew Research Center did a study on AI robotics and the future of jobs. They did it back in 2014, which isn't all that long ago. And they couldn't actually predict the future. As I said earlier, predicting the future is something that's not really possible. You can only make reasonable extrapolations on current trends. And their extrapolations on current trends showed that 50% of the experts believe that new technologies will create new jobs to replace those lost to other new technologies. Now, this is what's happened in the past, and that's why they say that. When agriculture became mechanized, uh, farm workers moved to cities to take industrialized jobs, and that worked. They neglect to mention that one class of worker, the horse, lost their jobs entirely and were never replaced. However, we'll move along from there. The other 50% believe that this will be less common than most people believe. In other words, no one says that there won't be jobs created. Everyone believes that there will be new jobs created. They just don't know how many and how long before those jobs are replaced. And the experts are divided 50-50, and I think that's fair enough, but I'm not particularly optimistic that a whole host of new jobs are going to be created, that the people who were previously doing the jobs that were replaced by robots, that those people will easily be able to take up and do. And as I said before, they keep on saying there will be winners and losers, and this is exactly the phraseology used in the Godsmark and Fleming article, Automated Vehicles, the Coming of the Next Disruptive Technology. Again, that's 2015. And I really, as I said before, really don't like this terminology, because it's the kind of terminology that's used by someone who expects to be a winner and doesn't have much sympathy for the losers. And I've got a lot of sympathy for the losers, because these aren't people who've done anything wrong. They're just trying to do their jobs, and their jobs are going away. So, there will be winners and there will be losers. Some people are going to do very well out of this. Well, I like cartoons, and some people are predicting that everything's going to be very smooth and easy and all that, and I don't think so. So here's an example. When North Korea or a disgruntled ex-employee hacks the GPS system. Some questions that I ask, and you should probably ask yourself too. Almost everyone believes that new jobs will be created. Will there be enough? The second is, what kind of education, what level of education and skills will the new jobs need? And what's going to happen to those who lack the education and skills needed? And finally, what will the lag time be between the loss of jobs and the creation of new jobs? Now, the last two questions go together. People who don't have enough education and skills to take the new jobs, but who've lost their own old jobs, are going to be on the social support system somehow, or they're going to starve to death. New jobs will be created. What's the lag time going to be? How long will education take? Lots of questions revolving around that really do need answering, and we're not getting them at present. It's not being talked about enough, and it should be. It wasn't talked about, for example, in the last Canadian federal election, nor in the US federal election that happened last November. And it really should have been on the agenda. So here's some predicted future employment trends by sector, and you'll notice that education is not doing too badly. It's in the middle there, but it's on the upside, and that affects you. But you notice that manufacturing, which is where there's a lot of concern about employment, is the biggest loser on the downside. And that was 2015 figures. 2015 figures. And I don't know what the current ones are, but they don't look very different from what I know. And since this is a course that deals with science education, science is an important part of this. People are going to have to understand science and understand technology. So that's going to be a big deal for your students. And again, that's going to put pressure on you to deal with this. And one thing to realize is that all modern science is being done through computers. I periodically see things, there was one recently on Facebook about whether students should be using computers in schools. And some people are still saying no, they shouldn't be using computers. Well, I strongly believe that students in school should, wherever it's possible to do so, use the same tools that adults use at work. I can't see any reason for not letting them do this. Anyway, that's where I see the future going at present. In some ways, I hope I'm wrong. But that is where your students are going to be. And that's what you're going to have to think about as time goes on. And you're going to have a career that lasts, I hope, a good 30 years. And these factors are going to affect you and what you do. So I've put a last slide here. What do you think? And we're going to continue this discussion online. And I will post some questions in the week 1 conference. And I want everyone to respond as best they can to them. I want you to respond or respond to other students and critique what their ideas and things like that. Thank you very much for listening. That ends this screen video.